lowest commissioned rank, ensigns haven't always gotten the fairest end of the deal in Star Trek. Having spent years at the Academy, they still have to bunk up, share sonic showers, and eat from the dodgy replicators, aboard some ships at least. They can often be found toiling away in the background whilst their superiors bask in all the glory. That they could just as well end up as cannon fodder. We all know that the first appearance of Ensign No Name is an immediate red flag. Of course, if your name is Harry Kim, you'll be cannon fodder and never make it past Ensign, but you will get some bigger quarters, so small blessings. On numerous occasions, however, Starfleet ensigns have been elemental to mission success. We have seen them save ships from disaster, protect the lives of individuals or entire populations, and even traverse timelines to help their fellow officers. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with Trek Culture here with 10 incredible times Star Trek ensigns saved the day. Number 10. First day on the job, Ensign Lang. It's a baptism of phaser fire for this ensign on her first day as acting chief of security aboard Voyager in the episode Displaced. She may well accept Chakotay's humorous comment to that effect with a degree of sarcasm of her own, but the crew are being slowly replaced by a shifty and thermostat enthusiast alien race called the Nirians. In the midst of all the action, and at a moment when it's not at all clear what's going on, it is indeed Ensign Lang who takes Tuvok's station at the bridge. There are 40 Voyager crew members remaining and falling, and over 100 Nirians and rising. Lang is then ordered by Chakotay to organize the lockdown of the ship's critical systems. She takes to the task with panache and is unfazed when Chakotay leaves her alone on the bridge. When the Nirians start breaking down the doors, Lang confidently issues orders to 2 crew members who have just arrived before taking out her phaser and firing. She is stunned in return and falls to the floor, but her heroic efforts and assured command of the situation have already ensured that Voyager will win the day. She also allows Chakotay the time to grab the Doctor, whose duties as tricorder were later key to the crew's escape. Number 9. NX to L4, Ensign Mayweather. When Earth is brutally attacked by the Xindi in the Star Trek Enterprise episode The Expanse, the Klingon Duras decides to use the moment to get a little revenge on Captain Archer. Duras has been holding a grudge ever since he was demoted following the pair's encounter earlier in the 2nd season. In the present episode, Duras first attacks when the NX-01 is arriving home, but he is fended off by other Earth vessels. He strikes again when Enterprise is on course for Vulcan, but is readily fought off. It's not until the ship reaches the thermobaric clouds which surround the Delphic Expanse that Ensign Mayweather's extraordinary flying skills truly come into play to save the day. Those dastardly Klingons attack once more, but this time Enterprise's upgraded weapons, some fancy new photonic torpedoes, prove ineffective, as Duras has transferred his aft shields forward. The solution? Get Travis to perform a spectacular L4 maneuver at full impulse, which basically means flying the ship up and over the Klingons in a loop to arrive facing their unprotected stern. Lieutenant Reed then fires torpedoes, and the Klingons are expedited to Grethor. This wasn't the first or the last time Ensign Mayweather saved the day at the helm of the pioneering Warp 5 starship, but it sure was impressive. Nice going, Travis, indeed. Number 8. Saving Dramer 4 from disaster, Ensigns Hildebrandt, Davies, Allens, and acting Ensign Crusher. The Season 2 episode Pen Pals of Star Trek The Next Generation is a bit of an anomaly. It is strange not least for the creepy long-distance communications between Data and a young girl, Sarjenka, from a pre-warp planet, Dramer 4, which is facing catastrophe. The ramifications for the Prime Directive most certainly shouldn't have been the only consideration when judging Data's behaviour. Still, Data's actions have consequences, and it's up to a group of ensigns to sort things out for Sarjenka. Whilst the senior staff are comforting themselves with the luxury of philosophical debate, only ever self-serving in this instance, Ensigns Hildebrandt, Davies, and Allens, led by acting Ensign Wesley Crusher, are doing the hard work to discover the cause of the planetary breakups in the Salkundi-Dramer sector. Struggling at first in his position of authority, Wesley manages to rally his team of ensigns behind him. When he finally summons the courage to order an icospectrogram test, it is this that leads to the discovery of the cause of the planetary instabilities. Funky interactions with dilithium in the planet's crust, essentially. The ensigns are then able to use this information to develop a solution to the problem, fire some modified probe torpedoes at it, which returns geological stability to Sarjenka's previously doomed homeworld and saves the lives of every inhabitant. Number 7. Linguistic License, Ensign Sato. Hoshi Sato's journey to self-confidence is certainly one of the greatest of any ensign. She was always a prodigious linguist, mastering several languages and picking up new ones with apparent ease. Later in Enterprise's mission, she would make major improvements to the Universal Translator and developed the lingua barcode translation matrix that was still in use centuries later. In the beginning, Sato's nerves and lack of self-esteem were often a hurdle for her to overcome. This struggle is most visible in the Enterprise Season 1 episode Fight or Flight. Despite her reservations, Archer convinces Sato to join the away team that was to board an unresponsive and seemingly damaged alien vessel. When the team find a string of alien bodies hanging upside down, Sato has a rather visceral reaction. I mean, wouldn't you though? A sense of embarrassment and doubt follow her from the incident. When Enterprise is attacked, the Universal Translator struggles to process the language of the alien race in a position to come to the crew's aid. Searching for synonyms that don't arrive, Hoshi is understandably more and more frustrated. Archer suggests that she forget the Universal Translator and communicate with the aliens directly. Whilst trepidatious, I mean, she hasn't even had time to learn the language's basic conjugations, Hoshi accepts. Doing what she does best, we see her confidence grow with each line she speaks. The alien is convinced and saves Enterprise from the hostile species, all thanks to the exceptional skills of a gifted ensign. Number 6. The entire ship and timeline, Ensign Anna Jameson. Lieutenant Carey wasn't any the wiser, but you might recognize this ensign as 7 of 9. This is left field or maybe even flirting with a bit of a cheat, but long before Picard's field commission, 7 was recruited by the USS Relativity. It is reasonable and a little bit of fun to assume that she officially carried the rank during that period. When a mysterious saboteur from the 29th century, it turns out to be a rancorous future Captain Braxton, places a Force 3 temporal disruptor somewhere, sometime on Voyager. 7 is enlisted to save the day. She is beamed back and forth along Voyager's history to prevent the ship's destruction, risking temporal psychosis in the process. She even dies at one point. Now that's an incredible sacrifice for our technically speaking first-time ensign. Her future, present, past self also will be, has been, was, is, starting to agree with Braxton about those tenses, afflicted by some dizzying sensory aphasia as a result. With a little help from a reluctantly drafted Captain Janeway, Braxton is stopped and Voyager saved. Let us all look backwards at the time when Ensign Anna 7 Jameson gets the praise she clearly deserves. Number 5. An Enterprisian ensign, Ensign Garrovick. As Star Trek prodigy writer Aaron Waltke tweeted regarding the Star Trek Ensign, "I wanted to give him a slightly bigger fanfare send-off and tribute to all the other red shirts. And that he most certainly did for this bearer of crimson." In the prodigy episode All the World's a Stage, the motley but endearing crew of the Protostar answer a distress call to find a pre-warp planet whose inhabitants are, nonetheless, cosplaying their hearts out to Kirk-era Starfleet, or Starflight. From one of their plays, filled with uncanny impressions and fabulously familiar overacting, we learn about Ensign Garrovick's time on the planet. Over 100 years before, Garrovick had flown a lone shuttle mission to the planet to attempt to resolve an unknown problem without the inhabitants' knowledge. His shuttle, the Galileo, crashed instead. Doing his duty, he went to warn the population of the danger that the damaged Galileo, now leaking warp plasma, posed. Before his death, the heroic ensign did everything in his power to prevent the inhabitants from falling victim to what they interpreted as the curse of the gallows. His actions no doubt saved countless lives before the arrival of the Protostar, whose crew were able to find a definitive solution to the curse. Going out saving the day is a much better end for the character, who appeared quite significantly in one episode of the original series and then was never seen again. Number 4. When did he not? Harry Kim. Poor old Harry Kim, the archetype of the unsung hero ensign. He saw his jailbird friend demoted and promoted back without the whiff of a little box on his console. 7 years is a long time at the bottom, even if he was senior staff. But it was a small ship, and if Harry got a pip, then everyone would want one. The times Ensign Kim saved the day, or was a major part of it, are legion. They may outnumber the times he died. For example, when Voyager is duplicated by a subspace divergence field, Kim Mark II runs through a ship full of Vidians to get the then newborn Naomi Wildman and cross over to the original Voyager. When he gets to sickbay, he phases one Vidian almost immediately and performs an epic forward roll move that allows him to shoot the other. He rescues the baby and by extension saves himself. All the while, his counterpart, technically speaking the real Harry, is presumably still floating through space. He deserves a mention simply for retaining his sanity. Weird really is part of the job. Later, when Kim gets a taste of command command, he saves Captain Janeway and Chakotay in the nick of time from Chronoworks, talks down a smart bomb, although he did argue to bring it on board, gets a reality check on the Nightingale, and helps rescue an amnesiac crew with some explosive escape pods. Number 3. Lower decks, lower decks, lower decks. Ensigns Mariner, Boimler, Tendi, and Rutherford. It was about time they got their own series. After all, Lower Decks of the Next Generation was first broadcast in 1994. There was an episode of Voyager with similar intent, but they were all crewmen. Now aboard the Cali class, we see just how often the ensigns save the day, or to phrase it more in the style of the show itself, the number of times they kick Impossible's ass. For the most part, not yet tired or jaded by the rigors of rank and command, or precisely to avoid it in one case, ensigns Mariner, Boimler, Rutherford, and Tendi have repeatedly innovated their way out of danger. Either collectively or individually, they have helped cure a zombie rage virus, defeated Romulan guards, and uncovered spy plots. They have fended off the Packlet, the Drukmani, and Billups's mum, outsmarted a megalomaniacal computer, compromised with the Ferengi with clever economics, and generally saved each other's lives countless times. In the Season 2 finale First Contact, Mariner inspires Rutherford with the plan to remove the outer hull of the Cerritos, and the entire crew then work around the clock to save the Archimedes from crashing into an inhabited planet. Tendi also saves Boimler with cetacean ops CPR. Again, in the Season 3 finale, all three are crucial to saving the day. They prove that Starfleet needs people, especially its ensigns, and not a bunch of machines to ensure its mission. Let's just hope that history doesn't really remember Boimler as the laziest, most corner-cutting officer in Starfleet. Number 2. A dutiful sacrifice, Ensign Sito. Sito Jaxa got off to a bad start in her Starfleet career. At the Academy, she was part of the cadet flight team Nova Squadron, which included Wesley Crusher. The group had attempted an illegal and highly dangerous Colvard starburst maneuver that ended in disaster and the death of fellow cadet Joshua Albert. Sito and the others then lied to a board of inquiry in an attempt to cover up the cause of the accident and shift the blame to Albert until the truth was finally revealed. All but the squadron leader Nicholas Locarno, Tom Paris in another life, were allowed to continue at the Academy, but obliged to repeat the year. There's nothing like a redemption story, however, and this one stands out both in its heroism and tragic consequences. The next time we encounter Sito is as an ensign and original lower decker aboard the Enterprise D. After a dressed-down fake-out from Picard, it is in fact he who ensured her transfer, and an equally fictitious to-the-death Klingon ritual, Sito learns that she has in truth been assigned to the mission to ensure the safe return of the Cardassian defector Joret Dahl to Cardassia Prime. Even given the enormous risks and of course the history between Bajorans and Cardassians, Sito accepts. The mission succeeds as Joret makes it back, but Sito's escape pod is destroyed in the process and she is presumed dead. As Picard says in a solemn shipwide announcement, Ensign Sito was the finest example of a Starfleet officer. All aboard and especially her friends are devastated by her loss. Number 1. Dicey Dyson Sphere Driving, Ensign Rhaegar. The Next Generation episode Relics is most remembered for the reappearance of Captain Montgomery Scotty Scott via a little transporter wizardry. It equally features an on-screen realization of an actual theoretical concept, a Dyson sphere, a gigantic structure that encompasses an entire star to utilize its power, and not the latest model of a certain type of vacuum cleaner. When the Enterprise D is accidentally pulled into the Dyson sphere by an automated mechanism, the ship's power systems are knocked out and it begins to fall directly towards the star inside. Riker manages to divert some powers to thrusters, but it is Ensign Rhaegar at the helm who maneuvers the ship into a stable orbit, thus avoiding total destruction. Later, LaForge and Scotty hatch the plan to free the Enterprise using the latter's ship, the USS Jenolan, as a doorstop. However, it is the exceptional flying skills of Ensign Rhaegar that once again save the day. When the Jenolan is destroyed, the doors of the Dyson sphere begin to close. Rhaegar performs a magnificent 90-degree roll at breakneck speed, and she does so with such calm composure that it makes this seriously advanced bit of flying look effortless. The Enterprise squeezes through the ever-narrowing opening and escapes the sphere. Ensign Rhaegar, you are a legend. We don't really see if anyone congratulated you, as it's back to the engineers for some ego stroking, but we sure hope someone did. And that concludes our list. If you think we missed any, then do let us know in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell so you never miss a Trek Culture video again. Also head over to Twitter and follow us there, and Instagram as well, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with Trek Culture. I hope you have a wonderful day, and remember to boldly go where no one has gone before.